Why should you not fear fruit? Well, consider these two studies, which I have spoken about before, but are so cool that they are worth repeating over and over and over. I have done a whole podcast on this. The effect of two energy restricted diets, a low fructose diet versus a moderate natural fructose diet, natural fructose being fruit, on weight loss and metabolic syndrome parameters, a randomized controlled trial. This is not observational. This is randomized controlled. This is by Rick Johnson. Okay. So what they say here, each intervention diet was associated with significant weight loss compared to baseline, meaning that a low fructose diet overall or a moderate natural fructose diet, what they did in this study was they took out all synthetic, quote unquote, sources of fructose, high fructose corn syrup, sources from people's diets. Everyone improved. In one group, they allowed them to include moderate amounts of fructose per day, leading to between 400 and 600 calories per day from fruit. And they looked to see what happens. Guess what? Eliminating processed fructose was the main mover. When people added back in moderate amounts of fruit, there was no decline in the benefits. In fact, what they say is weight loss was higher in the moderate natural fructose group than the low fructose group. Compared with baseline, each intervention diet was associated with significant improvements in the secondary outcomes, those being symptoms, those being metabolic syndrome parameters, insulin resistance, etc. This study is a good exoneration of fruit, and you can see it here. Differences in diet compositions at baseline and among intervention groups. There were 480 calories from fruits in the 1500 kcal group, 540 calories from fruit in the moderate fructose diet, 1800 kcal group, and the same 540 calories from fruit in the 2000 calorie diet. Now, all of these diets are much lower than what I do. I'll talk in a moment about how many calories I do, but you can see that 540 calories from fruit is fructose and glucose, but all of those carbohydrates are 4 calories per gram. You're looking at over 100 grams of fruit in these people. And there was no decline in the benefits, that being weight loss or improvements in metabolic syndrome parameters. And in the moderate natural fructose group, there was a decline in uric acid, which is just as big as the no processed fructose group, meaning that 100 grams of fruit per day did not raise uric acid one bit in these people. Do not fear fruit. This is a randomized controlled trial showing this. And I've seen it myself in my own diet many times over. I'm now eating probably 200 to 250 grams of carbohydrates from fruit and honey. My uric acid remains below 4 milligrams per deciliter. I do not have insulin resistance, diabetes, or obesity, clearly. My fasting insulin remains lower than 3. My C-peptide less than 0.5. Show me any physician who's an author of that study that can claim those metrics. I would doubt it. One more study to just quickly show you the exoneration of fruit. The effects of red orange juice intake on endothelial function and inflammatory markers in adult subjects with increased cardiovascular risk. Many will say, okay, fruit is all right, but don't do fruit juice. Well, here's red orange juice that shows 7-day consumption. It improves endothelial function and reduces inflammation in non-diabetic subjects with increased cardiovascular risk. So why is this red orange juice so bad for humans? I think that basically the key here is that processed fructose is not good for humans. Probably too much of that ends up passing through the gut and ending up in the liver, but that the gut has many mechanisms to protect the liver from excess fructose, especially when it's in the form of fruit, and that fruit is quite healthy for humans. Imagine that, an evolutionarily consistent thing. So much of this is intuitive and falls in line with what we would have done naturally as humans in the quote unquote wild. We would have sought fruit. We would have eaten honey. We would have killed animals and eaten them from nose to tail. Our uric acids would have been very low. We would have been virile, horny, healthy, and happy. And there were no vegetables in sight most of the time, at least not with the Hadza or many other indigenous cultures that I've studied in the literature. But I visited the Hadza in person. I can tell you, not a lot of vegetables there at all. So Do not fear fruit. I'm at 250 to 200 grams a day, depending how much I do. You can see on my Instagram and other social medias actual pictures and videos of what I eat in very clear detail. I want to spell this out for people. So those are the three categories of macros, guys: protein, fat, carbohydrates. The foods I compose my diet of are organs, meat, fruit, honey, raw dairy. I eat maybe half an ounce of liver per day, a few ounces per week. I think that's a optimal dose for humans. I have multiple ounces of heart when I can get it. I have a few ounces of testicle when I can get it. When I can't get it, I'll use desiccated organs from heart and soil supplements. Those are freeze dried, and there's all kinds of good organs in there that fill in the gaps. 2 pounds plus of meat per day, like I talked about, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight to 1.25 grams of protein per pound of body weight. I let fat happen with the meat, seeking out the fattiest meat that I can get. I don't fear fruit. I have pineapple, mango, banana, plantain, guanabana, all kinds of fruit here in Costa Rica. I'm in an equatorial zone, so I'm lucky. I also eat papaya. And if you think it's expensive, look for the video on Instagram about how I do this for less than $25 a day. It's not rocket science. The secret is ground beef. It's easy. And then I have raw dairy. I have maybe half a liter of raw dairy per day from raw goat's milk that I fermented to kefir. That's what I do as a human. I salt my food moderately. I'm trying to think if there are any other details there that fill in the gaps, but a few tablespoons